After Thurgood Marshall led the way in ending school segregation, the next injustice targeted by civil rights activists was segregated transportation. Segregation on buses and trains was highly visible and served no purpose other than to broadcast the message that Black people were not good enough to share space with whites. Some of the most restrictive segregation laws were passed in the states with the highest Black populations, such as Louisiana and Alabama. In Baton Rouge, Louisiana, Black passengers were required to sit in the colored section in the rear of the bus. If the colored section was full, the Black passenger would have to stand, even if every seat in the white section was empty. By contrast, if both sections were full and a white passenger boarded the bus, a Black passenger would be expected to give up their seat. While the sections were separate, the rules governing who could sit where were clearly not equal. Just as the NAACP had fought the separate but equal doctrine in education, civil rights leaders such as Reverend T.J. Jemison challenged the inequality of these bus systems. But rather than filing lawsuits in court, Jemison organized a different type of resistance, a boycott. This meant that Black commuters would simply stop paying to ride segregated buses, instead finding other ways to get to work, such as using carpools or simply walking. This must have been a difficult sacrifice for many people, but the pressure worked. As the bus company in Baton Rouge began to lose money, it gave in and changed its policies. The white section became just the first two seats, and the colored section just the back row. The rest of the bus was fully integrated, and no one would be forced to give up their seat because of their race. But while this one company had changed course, segregation remained legal, and in other cities, the rules were even more restrictive. In Montgomery, Alabama, for instance, if a white passenger boarded a full bus, an entire row of Black passengers would have to give up their seats to make the white section larger. And it was here in Montgomery that one of the civil rights movement's greatest heroines emerged. Her name, of course, was Rosa Parks. Rosa Parks was not just a random passenger who was too tired to move that day, as is sometimes claimed. Actually, her decision to break the law on that fateful day was planned carefully. She was a member of the NAACP, and so were the other three passengers who joined her in the first seat of the colored section. The activists knew that after a few stops, the white section would be full, and the driver would instruct their entire row to move back. When this happened, the other three activists complied, but Rosa refused, offering to slide over but declining to stand up. For this, Rosa Parks was arrested and taken to jail. Her mugshot is one of the most famous images in American history, and her act of courageous defiance against an unjust law has made her a civil rights icon. Soon, she would be joined by a host of activists committed to amplifying her resistance and creating a movement. Among them was a local preacher named Martin Luther King Jr., who would revolutionize Black resistance and become the central figure of the civil rights movement.